You're right there, ladies and gents, how's it going? This is my Aprilia Tuareg 660. It's a fantastic adventure motorcycle and dual sport. It has taken me pretty much everywhere I've asked of it. It's always been my talent that has let me down rather than the bike's ability. But I am a short arse. I am quite tiny compared to a lot of people who ride adventure bikes. I am 5'6". I've got an inside leg of about 29 inches, and this bike here as standard is just about at the extreme of my ability of being able to hold a motorcycle up, especially on the trails. Now, you can adjust, you can get used to things, but I'm not as young as I once was. I'm certainly not as flexible. I've got injuries from previous motorcycle accidents and stuff which do restrict my mobility a little bit. But I'm an adapt and overcome kind of guy. So I've got myself the official Aprilia low seat. It's supposed to be a comfort seat low, but we'll talk about that in a second, shall we?
Keep that butt rubber side down.
Right, first of all, let's just take a look at the standard seat, and then I'll show you this one on the bike as well.
So as you can see, the standard seat is quite a pretty little thing. It looks really good with the red on there, and the black is quite a tough material, very motocross-esque seat covering on this, which is really practical when you're out on the trails. Yes, mine is grubby, but so is my whole bike. But I really like the material this is made of, and yeah, I was quite impressed with how it looks as well with the red stripe. Don't need to keep going on about the aesthetics. The seat is just a seat at the end of the day. Excuse the aeroplanes going over, we're in a flight path. But yeah, it's just a little bit too tall for me. Now what I'm going to do is going to get the tape measure out. It's an unfair thing because, as you can see, the bike is on its centre stand. But what you'll be able to do is tell the difference between the height of this one versus the height of the low version, so we can see how much it actually drops the bike by. Okay, right, I'm going to set this up and get my tape measure out, and I'll show you what seat height we've got with the stock seat.
To make this kind of fair, I'm going to roughly try and use the same location on the seat to measure the seat height, but there is a step in the comfort seat versus this one, so it's not going to be a true representation. What I'll do is I'll measure it from in front of the foot peg and also from behind the foot peg, so we get two heights, just so we can compare how it is between the two different seats. Now, this bit here you might think is the line that we're going to be taking the measurement from. I'm not. I'm going to kind of guesstimate what height the middle of the seat is there. It does squash down, but that is not the true height of the top of the seat. This bit here is. So from in front of the foot peg, we are looking at about 98 centimetres. And from the rear of the foot peg, about 95 centimetres. So 98 and 95 centimetres. What I'm going to do now is take it off the centre stand and just show you what I look like on the bike with my 29-inch inseam. This will also demonstrate how easy it is for me to get on it, even with my short legs. Now, having a tail bag on there does make it a little bit harder to get on the bike when swinging your leg over, but it's not impossible. So a 29-inch person can get on this bike no problem at all. That's without standing on the foot peg, but as you can see, I'm having to juggle between tiptoes on both feet to hold it upright, and if I hold the bike steady, I am literally on tiptoes with this bike in my seating position, which I can cope with, but it's not ideal. I can easily get a flat foot down if I just slide my bum cheek off a little bit, and I can very easily, comfortably get a flat foot down if I slide off a little bit more, so I've got half my bum off the seat. I can manage this on the road, no problem at all. It did take a little bit of getting used to, but on the trails I just need to feel a little bit more confident that should it get a bit gnarly and I need to put a foot down, that I'm going to be able to find the ground. And I've found out a few times with a bike like this that that is a little bit easier said than done sometimes. Right, let's swap the seats over, and I'll talk you through that seat on the bike. Right, let's just show you what it's like for me getting on and off this bike with this low seat, and then we'll go through the actual height of this. It's no easier to swing my leg over because I've got the tail back, but if I didn't have the tail back, I imagine it would be a little bit easier, but not a huge amount. Now, as you can see, I'm still kind of juggling between feet here, but I feel like I've got more of my toe down. It's not a balls of a foot down, but it's a toe down that's solid. Yeah, it doesn't reflect well in this experiment where you're looking at me here, but it is lower and it is easy to get a foot down. The trouble is the width of the bike hasn't changed, and it is the width of the bike that is a real problem on this. Not that it's a fat bike, but compared to a dirt bike, an enduro bike, it is quite chunky. If I want to flat foot on this, absolutely no problem at all. Easier than it was before. I'm a comfortable flat foot now with a slight bend on my knee, with less of my bum off the saddle. But it's not a huge difference. It really isn't a huge difference. But I think it's that gnat's cock of a difference that can build up that confidence when you're off-road that you're going to be able to get a foot down. It's to be seen how well that works out for me. I will experiment out on the bike, out on the trails a bit to work out what's best. But yeah, let's take a look at this seat anyway, and I'll show you the height of it. Righty, well, I'm going to take this from the same measurement spots as I did before. I don't know if you can see the lower profile on this, but it is quite a little bit lower, or maybe that's just in my head. I've not actually measured this before, so this is new to me as well. So in front of the foot peg, I'd actually say it's almost the same. I'd say it's 97, and that's mainly because you've got this steep upward now, so it actually gains its height quite quickly, whereas the other one is smoother. So this bit here should be lower, but this bit here on here is not a lot lower. Am I waffling? Am I making sense? On this side here though, yeah, 94 to the top of the curve there. In the specs for this, they say that it is 20mm lower. It looks like it's just 1 centimetre here, or 10mm lower to me. I am guesstimating on the seat height there, because I haven't got a square coming along out the side to double check it. But it's lower is lower. But height isn't everything. I already mentioned the girth, but I also want to talk you through some of the issues with this seat versus the stock one, and whether I'd recommend it or not. Okay, for you road bikers, this material here is probably quite nice. I wouldn't mind that on a road bike. It feels plush and feels good quality, and the stitching looks really good too. But notice the hard edge along that. The sides of this is not too much of a problem on the trails, but this is a bit too grippy and a bit too plush for trail riding, and I don't like that. I'd much rather it had the same material top and sides as the stock seat. I think it would be better with that. Also, mentioning the stitching here, this is a little bit uncomfortable on your legs. It's not so bad when you're wearing full-on adventure textiles and stuff like that, or leathers if you're on the road, you notice it less. But if you're just sitting on it in biker jeans, or in my case today my Levi's, then yeah, it is very noticeable and it gets uncomfortable quite quickly. So comparing the stitching there on that to here, there's no stitch line on here, it's all one piece, and a sort of a welded plastic where the change of colour is, I think, not sure, but that's really smooth and really comfortable, I find. So this less so,
on the road. Yeah, that's my main gripe with this seat. I would have also preferred it if they gave us the options to have it colour coordinated, and if they'd done that, then they could have actually probably just reused the original seat cover and just saved themselves some money on designing this fancy thing that isn't really that useful for a trail rider. I don't know if you can see the shadowing on the seat there, but it kind of shows you the hard edges on this, which you don't get on the nice smooth original seat. If we look at the width of this as well here, you're at about 18 centimeters there, which is sort of roughly the lowest point on the seat. Now on this one here, at roughly 16 centimeters. So this is narrower on the bit which you're sitting on, which means that the height advantage you get from lowering the seat, or if that makes sense, if it's not a double negative, is eaten away by having a wider seat. It spreads your legs out further in the offset, and that's probably why I'm still on tiptoes, even if it's less so, 1 centimetre less so on tiptoes on the low seat compared to this one here. The stock seat is also really quite squidgy, and on short journeys that feels lovely, it's great. The lower seat is firm, really firm. I mean, it has got a squidge in it, and here is more squidgy where the gel is there. So if you're sitting a little bit further back, on longer journeys, I think this seat will be more comfortable on long journeys, whereas this seat will be more comfortable on short journeys. I think this seat is also more durable for trail riding, and I don't know which I'm going to stick with. I really don't. I much prefer the looks of this. Obviously it was how the bike was designed to look, so this does look better. I love the material of this. It is a better material, a better finish, because you don't have the seams around the edges here, and even if you did, it's smoother around the edges, so it doesn't dig into your legs in the same way, and because it's more plush, it's squishy, it doesn't dig in anyway. So for a person my height and weight, this is more comfortable, certainly on the shorter journeys. You do sink into this seat a little bit on longer ones, and that is why I think that the low seat is probably better if you're going on longer journeys, trips and stuff like that, because you'll squish into the seat less, which will mean you'll get better support from the memory foam or whatever it is, the gel stuff that they've got here. What one's right for you? I couldn't answer that. I don't think, and this is going to be annoying, because if I decide to sell this lower seat, it's going to stop anyone wanting to buy it potentially. I don't think that there is value in buying this low seat. It doesn't drop the bike enough to make it better on the trails or on the road if you felt you needed to lower the seat. It does drop it, but it doesn't drop it enough. The loss of comfort on the short journeys and the loss of comfort along the seam here, as well as just the aesthetics, it doesn't do it for me. I'm quite likely to stick with this seat, and if I don't sell this one, I'll just put it on for like long trips. If I'm going up to the Adventure Bike Rider Festival or stuff like that, then I'll put this one on for the big trips, just because I think it will be more comfortable for longer journeys. In the meantime, you will probably catch me out on the trails sporting this saddle, because I think it's better, personally. So should you buy this low seat? I couldn't answer it for you. We're all different shapes and sizes. We all bend and contort in different directions. Your legs might have the same inside seam as mine, but you might have a wider stance. Your pelvis might be a bit larger than mine. Yeah, I really couldn't say whether this seat is for you or not. I get about that much close to the ground with it. You might get more, don't know, really. I don't even know if this video is any help to anyone, but it does show some facts about this seat, I guess, so it might help you make up your mind whether it's what you want or not. In the meantime, I'm probably going to keep hold of this for a bit, because I might change my mind, certainly if I do some longer journeys, which I do have planned for this year. So yeah, it'll probably get some use, but in the meantime I'll stick with the better looking, squishier and better finished
seat that came with the bike originally. I hope you found this video interesting and useful and all that sort of stuff. Obviously if you haven't got the bike or at all, then you're not going to care at all about this. But the comfort of this might be of interest to you, although I imagine the taller seats are going to have a bit more padding. But again, I don't know, because I can't see them, they've got snow on them, I'm that far away from that seat height. Right, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button. It'd be awesome to have you come back for some more. Got plenty of videos on this Tuareg, my wonderful Aprilia Tuareg 660. I've also got a Beta Enduro bike, I've got a GSXR 750, a Moto Guzzi V7 and a little Honda CB100, which all feature on the channel from time to time. Some of them are off the road at the moment though. But yeah, like I say, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click the thumbs up or click the thumbs down, whichever suits. And please, whatever you do, drop in a comment, let me know your thoughts on the low seat if you've already got it. I know I've spoken to one person who's got this and they said it's fantastic. So my opinion is my own. It's not necessarily correct. Anyway, you ride safe, take care, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye for now.
Keep that bike. Rubber side down. You know, you gotta keep that bike. Rubber side down.